Dr. Manny Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sonny Hostin, is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases.
For more, we go to our chief Sonny Hostin correspondent for a reaction.
Sonny Hostin probably thought she was having the worst day of her life. And then Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus showed up with flamethrowers of sarcasm. What started as a scandal over her husband's $450 million courtroom fiasco quickly turned into a full-blown comedy roast. Tyrus unleashed ruthless jabs without an ounce of mercy, while Gutfeld fired off rapid insults like a verbal machine gun. Sonny sat there in silence, her poker face worthy of an Oscar. But what really sent the chaos spiraling out of control? Let's just say the courtroom madness went far deeper than anyone expected. Hidden accounts, explosive showdowns, and drama fit for primetime television.
About 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system. And, you know, doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, you know, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance, and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do.
And it is funny. She's so wrapped up in identity, and she had no idea who she was.
Sonny Hostin has spent years on The View, acting like the Supreme Court of daytime TV. Gavel in one hand, moral superiority in the other. She doesn't just share opinions. She delivers full-blown verdicts. One wrong take, and you're practically exiled from brunch. But this week, the self-proclaimed queen of legal virtue found herself tangled in a scandal of her own making. A $450 million courtroom catastrophe starring none other than her husband. The same courtroom she's used to lecture others became the stage for her own family's chaos. And the irony was so thick, you could slice it with her gavel.
Man that will go after white America and talk about them like dogs. That doesn't represent our ideals or values for anyone. And get rid of those people, and this will clear up real quick. So do you have to actually look in the mirror and clean up your own backyard and get the racist people out? Because that's who you allowed in. You allowed black racist on TV who could just go all day and say anything about white people. And I guess lo and behold, they forgot that there's a lot of people at home, white people at home during the day, that are not watching your show anymore. So just clean it up.
Yeah, you know, Emily.
Cue the popcorn, because Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus fired up their sarcasm engines like they were about to roast Mount Olympus itself. Sonny spent years perfecting the art of outrage on The View. Outraged, incensed, flabbergasted. Whatever it took to seize the moral high ground in what often felt more like a cage match than a conversation. But now her husband's allegedly tangled in a financial fiasco so massive it makes FTX look like a bake sale. Suddenly, Sonny's preaching privacy and due process. How convenient. The queen of courtroom verdicts, now playing defense. Silence replacing sass. The hypocrisy's so thick it could be spread with a shovel.
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sonny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sonny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sonny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe.
When someone else is under fire, Sonny's all-righteous fury and smug contempt. But when it's her own husband in the hot seat, crickets. The loudest legal voice on The View suddenly discovered the magic of silence. Bravo, truly. Then enter Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus, two men with enough sarcasm to power a small nation. They weren't about to miss this golden opportunity to tear into the hypocrisy like wolves at an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Sonny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by The View's gravitational pull.
Sonny Hostin, the the same woman who once claimed climate change caused a solar eclipse, might have just earned herself the Dumbest Take award. Everyone knows the moon's behind the eclipse, and apparently The View's gravitational pull too. The timing couldn't be better for Greg Gutfeld, who exposed her hypocrisy with sniper-like precision and stand-up comic flair. Tyrus, meanwhile, showed up ready to roast marshmallows over the smoldering wreckage of Sunny's credibility. Reports claim her husband's $450 million courtroom nightmare involves everything from financial mismanagement to possible fraud. And Sunny suddenly has less to say about accountability than a broken Alexa. The irony's delicious. The same woman who built her brand dissecting other people's legal messes now wants no speculation. That's not restraint. That's performance art.
Their brains are small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now, The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter. So instead,
If hypocrisy were an Olympic sport, Manny Hostin would have just taken home the gold. Gutfeld dissected her double standard with the glee of a kid unwrapping presents, while Tyrus sharpened his verbal machete in the background. And when he swung, he didn't miss. His jabs sliced through her smugness, self-righteousness, and crumbling credibility. When the queen of condescension loses her crown to a scandal this big, you can bet Tyrus is right there with a velvet pillow to collect it. Even her co-hosts on The View, Joy Behar, usually loud enough to be heard from orbit, and Whoopi Goldberg, queen of moral monologues, fell silent. The same crew that once melted down over a conservative mispronouncing a word suddenly had nothing to say.
Sure, all that, and the price of butter. Sunny gets the game ball. If it wasn't for her, asking that question, it might have been a closer election. Listen, they're bitter, they're angry, they're entitled. They also should be. This should have been a reset for everyone who pushed lies and misinformation for the last. They call them Hitler. They call these things. America rejected them, and instead of coming back and saying we lied, they instead are now doubling down. So let her keep doing it, because if she keeps that up, we're going to keep getting the Senate and probably the House and the White House, because people see right through your lies. So keep doing what you're doing. Game ball to Sunny.
A $450 million case involving one of their own, and suddenly everything's complicated and nuanced. How convenient. Meanwhile, social media ignited like wildfire. Memes flooded timelines, and Twitter roasted Sunny without mercy. Greg Gutfeld seized the chaos to spotlight media elitism. How public figures demand accountability until it's their turn under the light. The moral high ground, it seems, is only comfortable when you're standing on it, not when it's crumbling beneath you. Gutfeld's deadpan wit skewered the show's sudden silence, while Tyrus mocked the idea of Sunny giving legal advice while allegedly spinning statements about her husband's misunderstood finances. Her moral compass? Spinning faster than a politician on a lie detector.
end of time. Yeah. You're right. Anytime she says something stupid, I'm going to go, slave owner! Kat, I just watched that. That's the second time I've watched that. She was tipped off beforehand, right? Because they had to tell her before, so she had time to regroup. They wouldn't just surprise. Really? You think? No?
I don't know. I feel like she could have maybe done better. Okay, here's the thing. One thing, and I would have even actually not give her any is she said, well, like, I guess that's just what they did back then.
Yeah.
She should have followed that up with saying something along the lines of, and I understand that that's a departure from the way I've talked about this before.
And the cherry on top? The View acted like it never happened. Not a whisper, not a word. They can spend 20 minutes analyzing Taylor Swift's exes, but can't spare 60 seconds for a $450 million scandal rocking one of their own. Maybe that's classy. Or maybe it's just cowardly. You decide. Gutfeld wrapped his segment in pure poetic irony, asking if Sunny might want to appear on his show to discuss accountability. Sarcasm dripping thick enough to bottle. Tyrus, with that trademark smirk, said everything without a word. Because this isn't just about Sunny, it's a spotlight on media hypocrisy. The so-called truth tellers love preaching justice until their own skeletons tumble out. Then suddenly, those commandments of integrity look written on paper thinner than their excuses.
It's not even that. And The View, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. So the racist ones who want to stick to this, Whoopi and Sunny, and the, was it Bette Midler? What's her name? Yeah, broke-ass Bette Midler. Fire them and bring people in. Maybe you could get McCain to come back.
Sunny's defenders argue she shouldn't be judged for her husband's actions. Fair point in theory. But this is the same woman who spent years dissecting her political rivals' families like she was hosting CSI Hypocrisy. Now, when the tables turn, she's begging for context and compassion. That's not just a double standard. That's a triple stack of irony with denial on top. The fallout's only just beginning. More details will surface, and Sunny may have to do more than pout her way through commercial breaks. Whether it's a statement, a break, or another dose of her signature smug stare, her credibility's already taken a nuclear hit.
That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years.
If The View had a mute button for awkward scandals, Manny Hostin slammed it so hard it might have cracked. The queen of courtroom lectures suddenly transformed into the high priestess of silence. The same woman who could rant for 10 minutes about a sneeze on Capitol Hill suddenly forgot how to speak when her husband's $450 million mess hit the news. Gone were the smug cross-examinations and legal buzzwords. Viewers watched as she blinked, fidgeted, and clung to her mug like it contained invisibility potion. Every twitch screamed, "Please don't ask me about it." Her body language was pure courtroom mime. Arms crossed, shoulders tense, and eyes darting, like she was pleading the fifth on live TV.
She is shaming descendants of this. Will she continue to do that when she is now one of them, Dana? And it is funny. She's so wrapped up in identity, and she had no idea who she was.
Well, now we understand why she always makes Whoopi get the coffee.
Somewhere between Whoopi's eye rolls and Joy's off-the-rails tangents, Sunny sat frozen, looking like she'd just read her husband's bail terms off her cue cards. Every time the topic drifted near corruption or fraud, she stared at the floor like it held the answers. That blank look wasn't deep thought. It was a silent plea to disappear. Viewers noticed, Twitter noticed, and Greg Gutfeld definitely noticed. Normally, she's quick to interrupt with, "Actually, that's not how due process works." But now, the only thing she's defending is her facial expression. Her courtroom ghosts are back to haunt her credibility, and her silence isn't composure. It's panic disguised as poise.
Anna went in a different direction. But I love the fact that, you know, Manny is younger and he's
How
very...
much younger is he?
Just a little bit.
He's like 1 year, isn't he?
Like a month or a year or 10 years? Or
5
what?
years. It's more than a year.
Oh.
Anyway, it's not about me. I think.
Oh, no.
I think that it's very helpful that he's handy, and when we travel, I'm not picking up any bags. He's the one that's hefting them overhead. He
Exactly.
throws the garbage out.
Right.
He does the heavy.
Sorry, Sunny, but you can't cross-examine karma. Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus just delivered the catharsis America didn't know it needed. In a world overflowing with double standards, watching the self-righteous stumble feels downright therapeutic. Will Sunny bounce back? Probably. The View has a way of forgiving its own, as long as they stick to the approved moral script. Maybe she'll spin it into a redemption arc or a TED Talk called "When Justice Hits Too Close to Home." But until then, the memes keep rolling. The internet keeps laughing, and Gutfeld and Tyrus keep circling her hypocrisy like vultures with punchlines. Because when you spend your career handing out moral verdicts, It's only a matter of time before the gavel swings back. And in Sunny's case, it hit hard enough to knock the smug right off her highlight reel.